It really starts with my mother, and it's one of the things that I often share in my books and in my work around financially empowering Black women to close their knowledge and investment gap. And my mother was was a sharecropper's daughter, had a big family, and she actually picked cotton in the fields of Alabama. And she would sit in that field and dream of the day when she would be able to go far, far away from there. And she would go to the big city, Camden, Alabama, and meet a young man carrying a briefcase. And he promised that they would travel the world. And he entered the Navy, and they did. I have one sister who was born in Washington, D.C., one that was born in Hawaii, and then they settled in Detroit, where I was born. And they had what I felt like an idyllic family. As our income went up and they got better jobs, certainly our standard of living went up as well. You know, the houses got bigger and more opportunity. My father was a skycap for airlines, so that really gave us the opportunity to travel. Mm-hmm. And then when they were about to get ready for retirement, my father took an opportunity with that company in Honolulu, Hawaii, where my sister was born, because they always dreamed of going back there. And then shortly after, they separated. And I was 18 years old at the time, had been my first year in college. And you can imagine how I felt, because, you know, I had really bought into the idea of my own, you know, idyllic family. And, you know, that I would find that man carrying a briefcase and that all things would be well. But what it did for me is really kind of change my paradigm. Mm-hmm. and not in a bad way, because, you know, I saw my mother's standard of living, you know, decrease considerably. And it was at that point I said to myself, you know, I said, I better always have a purse of my own. Mm-hmm. And so that actually is the title of one of my books, as you well know. Right. Well, as I went on, and I never understood until I wrote that book why financial security was so important for me. Mm-hmm. And I matriculated into the investment industry. I started as a receptionist at Merrill Lynch, and very soon the manager said, "It's clear you're overqualified for this position." Mm-hmm. And it was from there that I obtained my broker's license, went on, had a pretty fast trajectory at Fidelity, managed the West Coast marketing and sales, and then came here to the East Coast, where I'm based now, and actually opened their prototype investor center. Mm-hmm. And, you know, my financial capability, what I realized immediately when I took the first job was, wow, how come I don't know this? Mm. How come I don't know about stocks and investing? Mm. And then as I learned more, I wanted to tell the world, because I didn't want people to be like me and not be exposed to it. Mm. But you know what I finally realized, Sabrina, in my work, is that financial literacy, investment knowledge is inherited, right? It's not taught, right? So you are teaching it through World of Money, and we're very similar in the fact that we wanted to close that gap, mm-hmm. right? That access to the information that we didn't receive, and as just imagine the impact it could have if we had learned it when we were children. And so that's really where my mission aligned with Wealthy You. And, because I learned that my mother was the rule and not the exception. 9 out of 10 women are going to be responsible for their own finances. Mm-hmm. They will either marry, mm-hmm. separate, or divorce, or their husband will predecease them. So that whole trope that, we still buy into or is still being propagated on women. You see it in the Real Housewives franchise, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's going to be this magical thing that comes and rescues you. Mm-hmm. And then, considerably, I think why I'm really, really focused now on impacting 1 million Black women, mm-hmm. and the goal is to help them build $1 million in net worth through investment portfolios, is because what we continue to see is that wealth gap widens. even though we did all the right things, Sabrina. We got the college educations, we got the careers, but what the stats really show is how systemic wealth inequality and racial inequality really is, because actually a Black woman with a PhD earns less than a white male with no college degree at all. And so, we could talk about what those issues are, but I really wanted to take on something I felt we could impact. And I think we can impact that wealth gap by accelerating the financial growth of the assets that Black women have. And that is the reason I'm on this mission. Been on it for a couple of decades. Certainly, I met you very early on in this journey, and so you know what? I am even more. I have more of a sense of urgency, and I believe that COVID really brought to fore the sense of urgency that needs to be brought to bear on wealth inequality. Period. Right? Whether it be Black women or Black men or people of color, we have got to harness our economic power and turn it into, generational wealth.
Okay. Deborah, everything you said, everyone who's listening is nodding. Yeah, that's right. And as this conversation is entitled about our mind shift, I would even drill down. So you gave the wonderful and we should and the track. Yes, everybody says that. But there's something blocking, and I've heard it from children who've said, I don't believe that someone who looks like me should have financial security. That's not anything culturally we do. There's something else that I would like you to talk about that maybe 1 or 1,000 people who are watching can say, I need to shift how I'm thinking and believing about the ability to invest in myself and save my money so I can save myself. Let's drill down.
And well, that's where a lot of the work is, right? Like that was the surprise that I had. I thought so much of it was knowledge, but it's more than knowledge, right? It really is. In the framework for the work that I do is called the 7 Wealthy Habits. And when I did the research for A Purse of Your Own, I really identified 7 attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors of financially successful people. And so within that, the first habit, and so here's what I'm saying, the major shift that is required to become a successful investor is to make a shift from what I call an earner mindset to an owner mindset. And so, that's really like, to take it.
Let me just pause you.
Okay.
But if you don't, because I've heard from women who do not feel that they have agency, the ability to say yes or no in their own homes, right?
Yes.
That they don't have the power to say yes or no about the finances in their own households. So yes. Could you talk to those women who feel that they can't or have been denied having a conversation about access in their own homes?
Oh, I totally agree. Okay. And, I have this conversation with couples even. What the shift that and the belief. Okay, so let's go back to the trope of there's going to be this knight in shiny armor and he's going to take you away and all of your economic problems are going to be gone. The key here, but I do want to step away from that because I believe, and this is what I truly believe in what I did with my own daughter and my son, is, the goal really, and I think particularly even culturally, the goal is for your children, in order to build generational wealth, to understand that you don't want to enable them. The first thing you want them to understand is they have the ability to create value, right, for others and to take care of themselves. That's number one. And then number two, I would say that the way that we have been trained in this society, right? So it's also societal and the the structure, just talking about it being systemic, the structure of it all is that we have been, and so this is going to come back to mindset and belief. We have been taught that that the path to success is school, career, marriage, home, right? I mean, that certainly is what my parents gave me. And yet, when we did all of those things, still we have this wealth gap, right? We have been taught how to earn an income, but we've never been taught how to turn that income into wealth, right? And so fundamentally, the roadmap, the belief system that we have in our minds is that that's the path to wealth. When you really peel back the onion and look at the numbers, the real path to wealth is learning how to turn those that income into assets. And that income to assets can be in the form of investing through stock, right? It could be in the form of creating a business that generates an income, and that becomes an asset, that becomes an income. And then ultimately, the real asset that is going to give the most agency is when you are able to transfer that wealth to another generation and they start out ahead of you.
Okay.
Right? So fundamentally, if you feel like that the path to success is just earning more money, and you don't understand the other ways to generate wealth or create wealth, that is not a function of just trading your time for money, right? That it is the ability then to create assets that are themselves going to generate income, whether it be real estate or stock or businesses or whatever. That is a major shift in our belief system. And if you've never, I'm a first generation entrepreneur, right? So when I started out, I simply started out with this mindset of, okay, I've done this for corporate America, I can do it for myself, right? But what I didn't understand that within that, it's not a business until you no longer have to do the work, right? So basically, as an entrepreneur, you've just created a job, right? And so, but that's because I didn't know that what I needed to do is build the same system. I managed hundreds of advisors. I was responsible for a lot of things in my career, but I didn't understand that I needed to set up that system, hire people to do the work, and where the system, the business is running on its own, and I am just the conductor, right?
So walk us through. I'm interested. There's people that are interested hearing you speak. I log on to wealthyu.com and take me through the journey that they'll experience and taking not only shifting their mind, but learning how to grow their money at Wealthy You. What's the process?
Well, the process really starts with just joining the Wealthy You community. I believe that's the best way for people to get acclimated, right? And then they'll learn about they'll hear people talking, oh, well, yeah, my mindset shifted. Yeah, I shifted from income to wealth. I'm really thinking about the decisions that I'm making now. It's not, I'm practicing the first habit, which is the habit of adding value. We have what I call Wealthy You Wind Down every Wednesday, and we have different guests, and we actually interview a lot of our community members during that, and they just tell their story, and that's how you learn. And then if you want to go to actually access the curriculum and the coaching and the community, which is a private community. It's our membership program called the Wealthy You Society, and go through that 12-month curriculum with others. Then you sign up you can even have a discovery interview where we can kind of discern what is the best fit for you. But typically what most of what the secret sauce is really the curriculum but along with the accountability and support that you get from our community members. And then once you're in the Wealthy Youth Society, every other week you're either learning how to do something, in regards to your finances, whether it's analyzing and researching a mutual fund, understanding how to evaluate your retirement plan, analyzing and research a stock. How do you build a portfolio? How do you build proper asset allocation? And we have a curriculum that we built for a university that we now use in our work, and it's follows along with that a Purse of Your Own book. And so you have a textbook as well as you have a curriculum with exercises that you're doing, but we're really into applying what you're learning. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things we learned very early on was not to just go through that curriculum, but really to start out was just having people start quickly so that they can get results, so that they can see the results. And that seems to be working out pretty well. So, the whole goal of it was to create a culture that affirms, right, that it's okay not to know, mm-hmm. but also, to be inspired by others and know that if they can do it, you can too.
Anyone have any questions? Please post them in the chat. Leave your questions for Deborah Owens, the founder and CEO of Wealthy You, a financial wellness company. What faux pas or mistakes do people think when they think about investing?
Well, here's what I say that the biggest thing is that many people are playing not to lose and not to win, right? So they're looking at, I don't want to lose. So it's almost like they're, instead of playing to win, they're playing not to lose, right? So that's the biggest thing that I believe particularly in the audience that we serve, is that I've worked so hard, I can't afford to lose it. And that mindset is really steeped in, again, not having access and not experiencing risk. Mm-hmm. And then, we try to really turn that on its head and help them to understand that actually volatility works in your favor. Mm-hmm. And so the whole premise of what we teach is that financially successful people do the opposite of most people. And that's why they're able to move to not be frightened or fearful when the market goes down, because they look at that as an opportunity. In fact, one of the habits is having a wealthy mindset. And that's the ability to view problems as opportunities, because that's exactly what they are, right?
Share an example about that.
Okay. So for example, this is great. I love this because, when COVID-19 hit, I don't think a lot of people recall, but the market dropped precipitously, right? Mm-hmm. Almost 30%. Mm-hmm. And really the reason why we launched the Wealthy You community, because before then it was just kind of one-on-one coaching. Yeah. Was we had so many people who had taken coaching and they were fearful. It's like they forgot everything that they learned. Oh my God, I'm going to lose all my money. And so one of the things that I went live on and just really, leaned into was the fact that there is possibility in volatility, right? And so how you have to begin to think of, particularly when things get volatile or, something unanticipated happens to cause volatility, is, okay, what's the other side of that coin? So what are the companies that are going to thrive in this new environment, right? So what were the companies that were going to thrive in COVID? And so even then we were talking about stay-at-home stocks, so the Zooms, the DocuSigns, the medical telehealth companies, and really looking at those industries. And that's exactly what happened, right? And so I think that we're physiologically, we're designed to go for safety, right? Mm-hmm. If something happens, we want to get in our comfort zone. And so if you've never invested, or you're a novice investor or new to investing, and you see the value of your investments go down, your greatest fear, your greatest, or your propensity is, right, to stop the losses, right? To stop the losses, when in fact, that's exactly when you should be discerning what should you buy more of. And the only way you can have that mindset is to experience it. Right. So, experience the women experiencing that. And now look, the market is just reached new highs again. And so that's a great learning lesson. Okay. But typically this is what happens, and you're seeing it now. I'm watching all these people, they're trading options. We just had the GameStop thing, and everybody thinks they're wizards. Okay. And that's when I know, like, oh, we're a little frothy. It's probably time for a correction. And if you know how to analyze stocks, you do realize that, if I'm talking in price earnings or multiples, that the amount that stock prices are in relation to their earnings are really, really high. But if you just feel like you can just pick a stock and the stock market's going to continue to go up, that's typically when you go, when you make bad decisions. And also it's at this point where now everybody wants to jump in, and it's like, whoa, hey, hold on, we're at the top. Let's look at, let's be discerning, right, about, what kind of opportunities are truly there, and not just follow the crowd.
Okay, so we have 6 minutes left. I have 2 questions for you. One, could you share a story with one of your Wealthy You members? They came in the door not knowing anything, and now look. And the final question, because we always want to leave everyone with action steps. What are the 3 things they must do now to not only experience a mind shift, but a financial mind shift that leads them to security?
Okay, 6 minutes. So let me get myself together, right? Well, I have some great stories, and probably one of my best stories is of a actual physician who, when she came in, we're about to have our Savvy Money Makeover Challenge. By the way, if anybody wants to join, they can just go to Wealthy You or the Wealthy You community and join our 5-day Savvy Money Makeover Challenge. So our 5-day Money Makeover Challenge is where you really do a makeover of your finances, right? You look at where your money's going, then you look at, okay, is that really serving me? And then you kind of redirect and say, okay, I'm going to cut out this, and now I'm going to take this, right? And so we had a woman who found literally over $2,500 a month that she was just wasting. She was negative 5,700 in net worth.
Wow.
Within 6 months, she was a positive 500,000 in net worth. Now, I tell people, I put a disclaimer. I said these results may not be duplicated, but in her case, it really was. She had the income. She just didn't have a strategy or know how to leverage things. And so a lot of that income, though, came just to be that net worth. She was in a situation that she was not in a right fit. She was able to negotiate stock options out of that, get new stock options, take that money, pay off her debt, and then invest that money. And we see what the market has done, right? And so for so many people, this is all I want to tell them.
Yeah.
Just to answer that last question is what needs to happen. They're going to be upset with me, but I'm going to tell you, you have everything you need, right? To achieve, to accomplish and achieve the level of financial success you desire and you deserve. However, the first thing you need to do is take stock of where you are right now. Next, you really need to identify it. And this is the second habit. It's a wealthy vision, is what are your unique gifts and talents? Are you in your genius zone? And are you getting paid what you're worth, right? So what's your unique strengths? You need to put yourself in that role, right? Find the company or organization that values that. And then you need to pull the next lever, and that's take advantage every benefit you have, whether it's retirement benefits and employee stock option programs. What I have found after coaching thousands of women is that we're not even taking advantage of, typically everything we want is hidden in plain sight.
Wow.
But lastly, if you think in order to get to the next level, you have to have someone take you there. When I wanted to scale Wealthy You, I needed to go find someone to help me do that. And I had to invest to do that. And that's exactly what I did. And then right after I did that, we had our largest growth, right? So you can measure a person's success by their ability to ask for help.
In the 1 minute we have, 1 minute and 30 seconds we have left, 3 action steps everyone must take right now towards their financial liberation.
Yes, so I gave them, right? The first is take stock of where you are, right? What do you have? Let's not look at what you don't have. Let's look at what you have. So take out your checking account statement, take out all of your statements, and really kind of do a personal financial statement, right? So we're going to look at assets, everything we have, and we're going to look at all those debts and everything that, that we owe. And at the end, it's going to give us a number, and that's our net worth. And so next, I want you to begin to look at making your decisions, your financial decisions, whether or not it's going to increase or decrease that net worth. If it's going to increase that net worth, then that is the decision to make. Then you've got to create a future vision. Where are you going? So it's 10 years from now. That's the first thing we do in Wealthy You is 10 years from now, what happened, right? Like, where are you living? What are you doing? What is the biggest goal you have? Then we're going to work our way back and say, okay, in order to do that, what do we need to do right now to begin to pour our resources and assets into? For every goal you have, you should have an investment account attached to it. And then you need to put money in it, have some of your resources go to them systematically. And that really is the path to wealth.
Deborah, I want to thank you for repeating that, because I think it's worth repeating and repeating. And I know we're at 12:30, but I would love for you to say or to address when you were telling that story regarding one of your members, and she found $2,500, but at the time that she was spending with that $2,500, she probably thought that it was a good spend. So how can we assess that or find that money and take an inventory of the value of those expenditures? Because
that's so good.
It wasn't good, and now she thinks
that's so good. So here's all I'm going to say for me, and this was the beauty of COVID. I think many of us have realized that so much we're doing is on automatic pilot, right? Like, convenience cost. Right. And I think the biggest thing was the shift that she made. She kept thinking, like many of us do, that if she just earned more income, right? If I just earn more income, then all my problems are going to be solved. But here is the question. Here's if you can't manage the resources that you already have, more of it is simply going to present you with more problems. Right? So that's why I want to invite them to this challenge, because they're going to see people just like themselves. And we're going to be doing that accounting where basically it's literally just taking out last month's bank statement or looking online at your bank statement and seeing where did all that money go? And did it really add value? Right? And then, okay, what are you willing to give up today to get what you want most? But here's the key. Most people haven't decided what that is. And so that's why we start with that wealthy vision. Where do you see yourself? What are you doing? Right. And then so it's kind of like a plane now you got a destination, and the plane typically when it starts off, it's off track, right? It's off track and it's just constantly recalculating. Yeah. And that's exactly what we have to do with our lives.
Brilliant, Deborah. Deborah Owens is the CEO and founder of Wealthy You, a financial wellness company. For more information, to reach out to Deborah, visit her website, wealthyu.com. Deborah, this has been a joy. Thank you for your brilliant insights. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Sabrina.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.